That love from coast to coast, planting them seeds so you know we growing, believing in us, damn right we know when. Ain't got time for the stress and pain, no time for hate, no time for games. It's time to take it up, take it up, we gon' take it up. Hey.
Real talk for real life. Real talk for real life. Real talk for real life. Welcome to Real Talk for Real Life. I am your host, Sherry Ann, and we are diving into a topic today that affects millions of women. However, oftentimes it goes misunderstood. PCOS, Polycystic Ovary Syndrome. Miss Shaniqua James, Advanced Practice Registered Nurse, is here today, and she's our special guest, and she's going to be talking to us about what PCOS is, how it affects our bodies, signs and symptoms to be aware of, and how to manage it. But before we get to that beautiful, dynamic lady, we have to let you know that Real Talk for Real Life is being brought to you all today by Women of Dynamic Change, a 501c3 nonprofit. And our mission, in short, is to break down those barriers that keep women from being able to reach their full potential. Whether it be mental, spiritual, or physical, we're here to provide the education, the resources, the tools, the knowledge, the connections, and the networking opportunities, and most of all, the support that helps every woman be able to become and live up to the best version of herself. Ladies, I tell you, every Real Talk for Real Life, that all it takes is a mustard seed. In this day and age, we're going through so much, facing so many different challenges. And so that little bit of faith is going to help us be able to get to the next level, because God has got us, and we got to believe that He has us, and He's going to carry through whatever situation we may be experiencing. Listen, we are superheroes, ladies. We are superheroes, and we all have superhero powers. Once we understand what our superhero power is and how to utilize it, we are going to be so dynamic. And remember, God has given us powers that are specific to us, right? So our powers are not going to look like any other woman's, and so we have to learn to embrace that. And when we unite with other superhero women who have their superhero powers and know how to utilize their powers, that connection is so explosive, it's so dynamic. And so, speaking of connections, speaking of collaborations, we have Miss Shaniqua James, Advanced Practice Registered Nurse, here today to educate us. I'm so excited that she accepted the offer to an invitation to be here today. But before we get to her, guys, I just got to let you know, Shaniqua and I go way back. I'm not going to tell you how far back we go. But we go way back to the days where we were exercising in heels, Shaniqua. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember.
But I have seen Shaniqua's journey in her career. I have seen Shaniqua's journey in her personal life, and she has been committed to health. And I'm so excited to have her here today. So Shaniqua, go ahead and let the world know about all the wonderful things that you are doing for society.
Thank you, Mrs. Beautiful Sherry, for inviting me on this platform. I'm very appreciative. I know I got to give an introduction, but I do want to say thank you to Sherry. This is very thoughtful of you, and I am very honored for this opportunity. Okay, I'll start with me. My name is Shaniqua. I go way back when I was on the playground. I was 9 years old, got my period at the park, think much about it. We're going to fast forward till I was 18. I stopped getting my periods. And my mom, of course, thought I was pregnant. I'm like, I'm not pregnant. I ain't doing anything. Went to the doctor, and I was diagnosed with Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. And they told me I couldn't lose weight without medication. They told me I would have issues getting pregnant. I wouldn't be able to get pregnant on my own. They put me on birth control pills. Birth control pills made me even more symptomatic. I had heavy bleeding. It was going through the pads. At this point, the first day of college, I would miss out. On the first day of my period when I was in college, I would miss out because I was in so much pain. And everyone thinks it's normal to have these heavy, flowy, clotty periods with these massive cramps where you're bent over. not knowing it wasn't. And it wasn't until I spoke to a lady and she told me to read a book about polycystic ovarian syndrome, which at the time was called Stephen Levinson syndrome. It wasn't labeled as PCOS as of yet. They were calling it that. So I went and delved into some research myself. I learned about the issues of putting certain things in our bodies, taking certain medications, adding extra hormones. And then I went to an acupuncturist and she said, so I could bring your period on. I'm like, girl, whatever. So I went to her and she put these 2 little jumper cables on the needles she had on my stomach. And she told me, oh, I'll call you every day and I'll let you know when your period's going to come on. So she would call and I was like, this lady is crazy, because she's asking me about discharge. She asked me about all kinds of stuff. And she said, it's coming on tomorrow. And it came on. And when it came on, I told her to turn it off because it hadn't been on in so long. But I was thankful to her. I was able to do that. But before that, I tell people with PCOS, there's a risk for endometrial cancer, where I wasn't bleeding for a whole year, went in to have an endometrial biopsy, and it came back as hyperplasia, which is like the very beginning stages. So I had to go back on birth control for 6 months. So I was bleeding and clearing out. Then I had to go for another endometrial biopsy. And I started doing them on my own. Like I would call and just say, hey, I want an endometrial biopsy, send it to the insurance company until it started coming back clear. I started exercising. I ended up pregnant, which I didn't think I could do. I lost weight, which I thought I couldn't do. And then I said, okay, I want to make a product for my skin. Because like I said, I did a lot of research. A lot of things we put on our skin disrupts our womb, reproductive health. So I made body butters and oils, which don't contain endocrine disruptors, as a lot of other commercial lotions and things do. And I also opened up In Love Wellness, where I am now, trying to teach women about their bodies, about PCOS, about hygiene, and how it can be completed naturally if you put your mind to it. So here I am, here with Miss Sherry again. And that's about it. Because if I go step by step, I could be here all day. So I tried to sum it up.
And what a beautiful story, Shaniqua. So it just goes to show that when we go through these experiences in life, they help us to be able to find our passion and what our purpose is. And that's what it sounds like your experience has done for you. So you explained a little bit about what PCOS is, but now can you clarify what symptoms? You explained some of the symptoms, but let's get a little bit more into the symptoms, because you talked about the weight changes and the weight gain. So what other symptoms should women be aware of when it comes to PCOS?
I'm going to start off by saying PCOS is a metabolic disorder. They will also call it an endocrine disorder. And a lot of times you're diagnosed by labs, by ultrasound. That's what is used to diagnose PCOS. But things leading up to a doctor sending you to be tested for PCOS is missed periods, abdominal weight gain. It's hard to lose weight, thinning hair, especially facial hair. Like if I didn't get my stuff under control, we're going to be like a Rick Ross situation. I mean, not that extreme, but listen, hair is everywhere, girl, because you have higher levels of androgens, which is the testosterone, and the testosterone stops ovulation. And then because the testosterone is high, means insulin is high. So it's all kind of things going on. You face depression, body image issues, hard to lose weight, very hard to lose weight. You have to grind 2 to 3 times more than the average woman to get that pound off. Whereas Sherry could be Miss America, as I used to call her, lose weight like this. I mean, struggling, trying to get it in. Brain fog, also extreme fatigue, especially after eating, or in the daytime, you just feel tired. Like in the mornings, even though my PCOS is managed, sometimes I have to fight to get out of that bed because the hormones are all out of whack. Because I'm talking to you right now, but inside someone whose PCOS isn't managed, it's like fight or flight. It's like this inside, your body is stressed the heck out. But that's why I always tell people it's literally more than that meets the eye. And you are also at an increased risk for cardiovascular disease. You're at a 4 to 5 times more risk for developing diabetes type 2. So it's a lot of things that can happen with PCOS if you decide not to get it under control. And like I said, you're also at risk for endometrial cancer for those women who don't get their periods for prolonged time.
Would you suggest that woman who may be facing those irregular periods go ahead and get herself checked out rather than waiting till later?
Yes, I would. I would say statistics, I'm very wary to report them, but I would say what I've read is about 50 to 60% of women are walking around undiagnosed now. A lot of the times they don't know something is really wrong until they go to get pregnant, or they're like, oh, I'm bloated. That's another sign of PCOS, being bloated, being puffy. all the time because you're retaining fluid. So a lot of the times when those issues arrive, that's when they say, oh, I got PCOS. But you think about years and years because your body's also inflamed. You have inflammation you're dealing with as well. So PCOS is one of those diseases that have many components to it, many symptoms to it. So a lot of the times, unless that symptom is affecting you, you're not normalizing it, you won't know really nothing is wrong. Like my heart rate used to be through the roof resting. And I was like, my chest, and I didn't know that's due to sometimes insulin resistance. No clue. And some of the doctors, unfortunately, don't necessarily go into too much research about helping women with PCOS. You feel like sometimes your concerns are just bypassed. Oh, that's normal, that's regular. Oh, you just got to do this, take that. And it's not that simple, but it can be done, shall I say.
Okay, and that's good to hear. And so that's why it's important, ladies, is when we start to feel something that it's not normal for us, right, Shaniqua? Or if we're saying to ourselves, well, you know, I haven't had my period in 3 months, we need to get checked out and don't wait. Early intervention is key. Like you said, you found out early and you were able to apply all the methods and the tools to help you manage and get to where you are now. And so thank you for the information you provided. Listen, I want to get into mental health, Shaniqua, because you touched on that, right? Mental health is big here on Real Talk for Real Life. We're always stressing the importance of that. So with the women that you've taken care of with PCOS, how have you seen it affected their mental health?
A lot of depression, a lot of anxiety that also comes with PCOS. Those, especially those two, anxiety and depression, panic attacks, body image distortion. Looking at yourself when you were younger, now you're a little older with PCOS, and you find like you're eating right and you're exercising, but the weight isn't moving. And that can be very, very depressing because I faced a stage like that myself where I'm like, I'm doing all this. And I'm like, for me, I had to be like, okay, girl, you know what you're doing. You know, I had to take accountability as well on my part. But for those people, I try to go the natural way. I check to make sure my patients are, what are you eating? A lot of the times PCOS can be managed just by diet alone. It's hard because a lot of us are addicted to sugar. And with PCOS, you do have intense cravings for sugar because you are magnesium deficient. So a lot of the times you like, looking at me, I can eat a cake before I eat dinner. I've stopped it, but the rice, the cake, the bread, things of that sort. But for mental health, I do lean on adaptogens such as ashwagandha, but I'm careful with ashwagandha because it can blunt your emotions sometimes, not allowing you to fully release them. And sometimes it can make some people, the PCOS, worse because sometimes it can mimic estrogenic effects. And remember, with PCOS, a lot of the times you have an estrogen and progesterone imbalance. Some people will call it estrogen dominance of that sort. But there are other alternatives such as rhodiola, holy basil, and reishi, which is a mushroom, like a crushed up powder. So those things I would take, and also putting lemon balm in my water because with PCOS, you want to keep the stress down. Stress makes cortisol go up. Cortisol go up, you can't sleep at night. You're getting the puffy face, you're getting the puffy belly. So when you take those things, that helps try to keep that inside stress level down. Because some people may say, I'm not stressed out. I'm like, are you stressed? I'm not stressed. I'm like, your labs are showing you are a stress mom, even though you may not notice it. Or I tell people to remove the stressors, even if it's that man. Girl. Sometimes
I hear you.
If it's the source of your stress, I would say that even over exercising can stress the body out, especially doing like HIIT exercises 4 to 5 times a week can increase cortisol levels. So you find it hard to lose weight. You're going back in a circle all over again. So, but you have to do what's right for your body because no two women with PCOS are the same. So some people may be able to do that and be okay, and some people may not. But I tell them, meditate. You get up, first thing, stop looking at your phone. Some people, I'm heavy in prayer, journaling, things of that sort. I'm taking time to look within myself, see things I can do better to help with my mental, and positive talk, positive affirmations. When I look in the mirror, I got to tell the mirror who I am. I'm not going to allow society to tell me. And I wasn't always this way. It wasn't, believe it or not, till after I divorced is when I feel like a new Shaniqua emerged. And like you said, pain does fuel purpose. And for me, that's what gave me a kick to go start exercising, be more self-aware, especially healing, which is one of the most painful things I tell a woman she can go through. But I know who I am now. I know what Shaniqua gonna tolerate, what she ain't. I know a lot about myself I didn't know before, shall I say. But I do take like self-care. Listen, I focus on Shaniqua because if not, nobody else gonna focus on her. And especially with PCOS, stress brings more symptoms. It brings more stress, more depression. So it's like, no, I'm not going to get in that hole. I'm not going to get in that rut. I'm going to do what makes Shaniqua happy. I tell people, find hobbies. Always do what
Yes.
makes you happy. Stop waiting for someone else to make you happy. You make you happy. We can't depend on someone else to make us happy. So those are the talks I have with my clients who come in with PCOS. Oh no, girl, because I got to do this and da 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 da. I'm like, listen, we're women, right? You're gonna find a way to do. You got to move some stuff around now. You can't be walking here stressed out because God forbid something happen. You won't be able to do none of it. You try to prioritize things, and that's what I tell them. I just try to give them little suggestions, little bite-sized things, not
Right.
like a cold turkey. Know this, know that, know this. Even turning your blue light off an hour before bed on your phone, the nighttime mode, that helps your body to calm down. Because I tell them, if you're scrolling and scrolling, your body thinks it's light outside, your circadian rhythm. Or when you wake up, go in the sun for, even if it's 5 minutes, go out in the sun. And it's been working because my vitamin D levels are off the charts, girl. which was crazy because it wasn't always that way. So.
Right. And speaking of which, we actually had a conversation before this episode and we talked about going for our daily walk. And so it's a matter of, like you said, no one's going to do it for you. We had a guest on, Miss Juanita Langford, earlier this year. And one of the things she mentioned is no one is going to jump in your body and do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Shaniqua, I want to go back to that mental health. You did suggest some great ideas with the meditation, with the journaling. These are some powerful tools that we can use as women to be able to handle stress, especially if we're facing PCOS. But one of the things that I definitely want to mention, and I'm sure you'd be an advocate for this, is it's okay to say I need help and get help from a professional, licensed psychotherapist, a social worker, a mental health therapist, because there comes times where we definitely need a professional to help guide us through that anxiety, through that depression. And like you said, with the body image disturbances, Shaniqua, looking at social media now, looking at how everybody in shape, everybody looks good, it can make us feel bad. And then we're facing PCOS and it's hard for us to lose weight, right, as women. And so that understanding that it's okay to say I need help and to feel support and to get support is okay. What do you feel about getting mental health therapy? What's your take on that?
Oh, I had to get mental health, but somebody listen, my life would have took another turn. So I had to talk to someone to shift through my emotions. And that's when I started to exercise. That actually helped me so much. I had so much of clarity because when I went in, like I said, I had other thoughts. They weren't great thoughts about harming somebody, but I had thoughts and I was like, no, I cannot be this angry. I have to be accountable for the role I played in it. And I have to focus on me. And I did talk to a doctor, and it's crazy because her name was Dr. Shaniqua. She was also Shaniqua. And I was like, yes, girl. Because with the name Shaniqua, all kind of stigma comes with it. So we laughed, but she taught me a lot. And also I have a friend who's a licensed therapist. Read this book, Shaniqua, do this, do that. She's helped me a lot as well. And like I said, being self-aware of your behaviors so you're not being detrimental to yourself. Like I said, I learned to talk positive to myself. And it is times where you have to have ongoing therapy because sometimes I feel like you're out of control and it takes an unbiased opinion sometimes to get you back into control. And you hear some people like, oh, they're going to put me on medicine. I'm like, ain't nobody putting you on medicine, child. They're just trying to tell you about your feelings, what they consider normal, because at the end of the day, we're human. And a lot of times we are the toughest on ourselves. So I do think therapy is very beneficial, especially with PCOS. I think it's beneficial. Even if you go once or twice or something, at least go talk to somebody, even if it's once. Just go talk to someone, hear them out, what they may observe from what you're telling them. Is a second set of eyes is always better, I always say. But I have gone to therapy before.
And I'm sure you found it, like you said, to be very, very, very beneficial, guys. And that's what I want to also stress here today is that it's okay, again, to say you need help. And in saying you need help doesn't mean that you're weak, right? And in actuality, it's showing that you have some strength there because it takes a lot to say that, right? And it takes a lot to pick up that phone call and say, you know what, I need a therapist or I need a social worker to have someone help guide me through this process. So we talked about fitness, Shaniqua, and yes, girl, I see you. I see you on social media getting your fitness on. And so you're a prime example of someone who is utilizing fitness to get through the process, right? And to go through the process process and the experience of having PCOS. And so,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you can suggest to a woman who may have just gotten this diagnosis, and how can she start small with fitness? What are some of the things that she can do?
Some of the things I would say she could do is walking. Walking is very simple and effective, like we did today, Sherry. Sherry was like, girl, get on up. I'm like, okay, because I was just lounging around. I'm tired. Okay, get on up. But walking is very beneficial for PCOS. And I tell them also, resistance training is huge. And I always tell someone that is your best friend with PCOS, because say like I'm doing a squat with a little weight, our quads are the largest muscles. So in turn, when you're lifting those weights, that actually burns the excess insulin that you have in your body, therefore helping you to lose weight. Because before, when I started, I was doing cardio maybe 4 or 5 times a week, going hard. And I was like, what is going on? And so I started my strength training journey. And in 2 months, 10 pounds were gone. And I was like, okay, this is where I need to be. But I would tell her to start off light as far as walking, even if it's on a treadmill with a little incline. If you can get those 2-pound weights to go around your arms, that's fine, or around your ankles. If you could put a 5-pound weighted vest and you want to walk up to 3 miles a day, I would say do it. If you can aim at starting off at 6,000 steps, okay, cool. But that next month, I'm going to say, okay, now it's time to go to 8,000 steps. And gradually until you get to 10,000 steps, and they will see like the weight starts to come off. But it's only if you are addressing the insulin resistance, because if not, that weight, I don't care what calorie deficit you're in. I tell people to have PCOS is to know it. I don't care what you're in. If that insulin resistance isn't taken care of, that scale is not moving. And I will also tell the woman just starting out to eat a little small carbohydrate before she works out, such as like a half a banana with a little peanut butter, because with insulin resistance, we know insulin is knocking on the door. Nobody's opening the door. So when you start exercising, all the doors open. So all the insulin goes in, and guess what? Blood sugar drop. And I passed out about 2 to 3 times on a treadmill, like just passed out. I had no clue why I was passing out. But that's why you won't see me without an electrolyte tablet in my water, or eating something before. That's why I've seen a couple of girls pass out, in class. And the first thing I asked her, do you have PCOS? Yes. I'm like, you have to eat something, not a big old meal, eggs, grits, eggs, not all that. Even if it's half an egg, or like I said, half a banana, or you eat a little piece of apple with a peanut butter, some type of carbohydrate and protein, that will help you get through your workout. And I would say then start lifting light weights. Then you can graduate to medium to heavy weight. And then you incorporate cardio with the strength training. And like I said, if her eating is right, she can see weight loss.
And you know what, Shaniqua, when you start seeing that weight loss, guess what happens? You start feeling good, you start looking good. And doesn't it help with the mental health? It takes away a lot of that stress. And so overall, it's helping us as women, the full package, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the full package. It's that mind, that body, that soul. And so we got to put the work in. Some great advice, Shaniqua, in regards to fitness. So let's touch on some misconceptions, Shaniqua. One of the misconceptions that I have heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you have PCOS, you can't have children. And you've already said something to the extent that you were pregnant. So it already sounds like that is a misconception. So what's your take on that?
I was surprised when I worked in mother baby or in labor and delivery back in 2008 or so. And I would read the charts, and the lady, I would see PCOS. I'm like, she had a baby? And I would go in there and talk to them. It was like, girl, I didn't even know I was pregnant. Because a lot of times the periods are so irregular with PCOS. A lot of times some of these women are 6-7 months pregnant before they even know, until they see their stomach growing, because they're used to not having a period. So, and they're already carrying abdominal weight. Misconception, it is true. If you have PCOS, you can have children. It takes to see why, say like you were to have miscarriages, like I've had recurrent miscarriages, to figure out why. And 2 of them were due to low progesterone. And some people are like, how did I get the progesterone low? And I said, once again, it goes back to the hormones. Once your cortisol is up, it takes from the progesterone supply from your body. Progesterone is used to hold the pregnancy. So if you don't have an adequate amount of progesterone, you can't hold the baby. And now that wasn't the case in all of my miscarriages. One of them, I had a tubal. And then I looked at another study. Someone said, if you had recurrent miscarriages before 12 weeks, a lot of the times it could be the man, in which he was never tested. I was, and I even sent the little fetus to the lab, and they said they can find nothing wrong. So I tell women, don't take all that burden thinking it's your fault. because I did for so long. Like, it's me, I'm doing something wrong. And to think it could be, he could be a part of it, which was really, if they have kids, it's sort of like, oh, he has kids already. I'm like, but we're grown now. He ain't the same age he was. I always say, get the male tested as well. But that is a big, big misconception that you can't get pregnant. But you can get pregnant. You just have to make sure, I would say, test yourself before and test your progesterone. That's the biggest thing with me. Test your progesterone. I will go to a fertility doctor and have all my labs ran to see if there's anything. It could be an MTHR defect, which necessarily isn't just PCOS based, but it could be in, relation. Maybe some of your electrolytes are low. Body is very, I would say, very sensitive to being imbalanced. And if your progesterone is out of balance, that's usually what happens. But women with low progesterone, after correcting it, do go on to have normal pregnancies. That one. And then the other misconception, I'm sorry, Sherry, is the other one I have to say. Most women with PCOS are heavier. It's due to inflammation, it's due to fluid retention, it's due to stubborn weight loss. Insulin turns into fat, right? So if you have insulin resistance, most likely you're going to be heavier. And they'll say, oh, Sherry's eating a lot. The nigga's eating a lot. You're like, no, I'm really trying. But a lot of the times we are not eating enough. And we're eating the wrong foods that cause a reaction with the hormones that are already disrupted in our system. So that's another misconception, that you look at someone heavy, like, oh, she just eating all this. And you'd be like, no, I'm actually starving over here, which works against us a lot of the time. So those are the two biggest misconceptions I personally have with PCOS, that we're eating too much and that you can't get pregnant. And both of those are not true.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying it, because I'm sure there's a lady out there that's listening to this episode today is walking away feeling much better and knowing the truth about PCOS. So, Shaniqua, for our last and final question, what would you like to say to that woman who is dealing with PCOS or thinks she may have PCOS? What is the best piece of advice that you can give to her today?
What I would give to you, Miss Madam, is don't take this as a negative response. It's just something you have to work through. You will get through it. I would say, be easy on yourself. Give grace to yourself as you do to everyone else. And it's just something you have to learn how to just tweak your lifestyle just a little bit. Fiber is your best friend. Fiber brings the estrogen down. Instead of having that coffee, try a dandelion tea. Instead of dandelion tea helps the liver get rid of excess estrogen. And a lot of these women are constipated. They are not using the bathroom. So you're newly diagnosed with PCOS. I want to see you going to that bathroom every day, which means you have to walk, you have to drink water. And I do say I put electrolyte sugar-free tablets in my water. So you say, oh, they're like, well, what's the fiber? I'm like, vegetable, fruit.
Right.
I'm like, you eat a strawberry, you eat a raspberry, you eat beans. And walking, movement helps you get the fiber going, and also start moving just by walking. If you do a little resistance training, move. We can't sit and complain, move. So a lot of the times now I say, if you want something bad enough, you're going to get it. We want them bundles, child. We want that makeup done. We want the nails done. We want that man. We're going to do what we can to get what we want. Same difference when it comes to yourself. You have to use that energy you pour into everybody into yourself. Journal your symptoms. Go get your labs checked, because a lot of the times too, Sherry, people with PCOS, they go on the internet, it's like, I need this supplement, this supplement, this supplement. And it's like, no, you may not need that supplement, because your lab is fine in that area. You may not need that supplement. So correct supplementation is fine. And if you don't want to take the supplementation, what I do is come up with a meal plan that has those vitamins and minerals in it. Like I tell everyone, any disease can be caused by dehydration and mineral deficiencies. A lot of the times with PCOS, we are deficient in magnesium, copper, chromium. So when you learn that, you start putting the pieces back together, and you see the body starts coming back into balance. And staying away from stress as much as you can. I know the world is very stressful. Trust me, it's stressful. So a lot of the times too, like I said earlier, adaptogens, holy basil, ashwagandha, if you can, if it doesn't affect you, reishi mushroom, lemon balm in your water. Taking time, and magnesium is very good for insulin sensitivity, helping you sleep. And that's magnesium glycinate, because there's so many different forms of magnesium. Now, if you go to the doctor and they say, oh, I'm newly diagnosed, I have insulin resistance, we know that's the cause of your PCOS. Like I say, you have to increase your fiber. Supplementation with that, if it's insulin resistance, you can either supplement with inositol, berberine, Ceylon cinnamon. Those things help to sensitize insulin. But the biggest thing that helps sensitize insulin is exercising. And your homework or the final answer, like on Family Feud, the thing is you have to eat a little something before you go to strength train, or you may feel nauseous or like you're going to pass out, or you might just pass out like I did. And just be positive with yourself. Tell yourself you got this. You're beautiful. You've been through tougher situations. If that period hasn't come on in 3 to 6 months, you need to go see a doctor to make sure everything is okay, even if it's an ultrasound. I always tell my women, you go to your OBGYN, you ask for a pap smear and an ultrasound. A lot of times you have ovarian cancer too. It's not detected, but on ultrasound. So you have to make sure everything isn't PCOS, but those are just steps I would take. So movement, increasing fiber, hydrating, watching what you eat. Don't just eat 2 meals a day. Your body's going to hold on to fat. Nothing's going to move. 3 to 4 meals, small meals. Portion control is another one, Sherry. Weigh your foods on the scale. Because before I got on the meal plan, I was like, oh, I'm eating salmon. I'm good.
Right.
I was eating 12 ounces of salmon, not 4. So you eat like 3 times the amount. Those would be my thing. Watch what you eat. When they come in, I have a whole session when they come to my clinic, a whole session with them. I get the blood work. Based off the blood work, that tells me what path I need to go down. And also them telling me, oh, I can't sleep, or I'm not using the bathroom. That tells me what path I need to go down with them. Because like we said, 2 people are not the same. And also what you're putting on your body is going to your womb. I won't say the names, and some of y'all like to smell real good with the stuff. Ends up disrupting your endocrine system and your reproductive system as well. So
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Guys, you got to make sure you go get this Shanika's body butter. Listen, I can't live without it.
Sherry had me meet her at the corner, child. I'm like, okay, Sherry, I'm coming.
Listen, we will meet at the bus stop if we have to for me to get this body butter, ladies. Listen, this is part of my self-care ritual, right? And it has so many other benefits. It's organic and it's made with love. Shanika's going to tell you how you guys can find it, how you can get it from her. Listen, once you get this body butter, you are going to be hooked. Shanika, I want to say thank you. You have given us invaluable information regarding PCOS, Shaniqua, and we are so honored to have you here. Please let the world know how they can find you, how they can book a session with you for those women who have PCOS or suspect that they may have PCOS. Give them all the information and how we can find you on social media.
Okay. First one to start off with Sherry, the body butter. That's my body butter supporter. I'm very grateful for you, Sherry. Thank you. This is the same thing she held up, the body butter. It's made with phthalate-free fragrances. And also the olive oil that I use in there, the organic olive oil, is soaked with calendula flowers that I allow to sit, which is very nourishing to your skin, as well as the other butters and oils that I use in there. So I try to make sure it's not going to be disruptive to your endocrine system. And I also have the body oil. You see my little container spray? But this one is have used, child, because I use it when I get out the shower. But the oil is a little lighter. Same difference, same thing. And I am pocketbook_sisters, CYSTERS. On there, you can DM me and say, hey, I want this. I'm going to try this. I am in the process of getting a website because it's just me. Some people will order like 20 things at the same time. I'll be like, wait a minute. So, and for me, I'm very strict on how I want my container sanitized. I'm strict on practices, so I can't just allow everyone to help me, which I'm fine with. And I also do soap as well. And the soaps, my green soaps are made with moringa and wheatgrass. And then the black one, which we call our tuxedo soap, is made with clay, charcoal, and turmeric and castor oil. So those are the soaps. I don't have none now because I can't keep up with the demand, which is a good thing to have. I'm not complaining. And then I have In Love, ENLOVE_wellness. And there I have also a website. You can DM me, you can book an appointment. Hey, I want to come talk to you. And I go on there and I have to go and update my prices because they're not the same. I got some things to do, but I've had great success with the clients that I have had that came in with PCOS because I am a little bit of their accountability partner, and I do give them some exercises to do to jumpstart themselves. But I say, hey, it's only so much I can do. But a lot of you guys too try the natural way without medication, but you have to put in that work. I cannot do it for you. And a lot of times they stop because it is difficult. I won't lie. It's hard in the beginning, as anything else in life, school, work.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like,
Totally agree.
yeah.
It's difficult change. Anytime change is needed, it's difficult and it's hard. And like you say, I love the fact that you say that you are that accountability partner. So not only are you a healthcare professional, but you're there to really motivate your clients. And I love that, Shaniqua. Thank you again for providing such invaluable information and for breaking this down for us and giving women practical tools they can use right away if they're dealing with PCOS. Guys, listen, remember, knowledge is power and your health is your legacy. Be sure to make sure you all follow Miss Shaniqua James, APRN, Advanced Practice Registered Nurse, on all her social media platforms. Be sure to get that body butter. I'm telling you, you won't go wrong. Listen, my name is Sherry Ann, and I am your host of Real Talk for Real Life. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you go on Instagram and follow us as well. And Women of Dynamic Change, we just want to let you know, just to add to this conversation, since we talked about fitness, we are doing our Let's Get Physical 80s inspired workout. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be this month on the 20th. Make sure you get your ticket. This is a way for you ladies to come out, to pour back into yourself, to get that movement on, to get some physical activity on, to broadcast your business, and to meet some amazing women. Shaniqua, thank you again one more time for being here today on Real Talk for Real Life. We are so honored. We are already extending an invitation for you to come on back and shed some more light on PCOS in the future. And guys, I just also want to remind you, if you are interested in getting your physical fitness on, please go and purchase those tickets on www.womenofdynamicchange.org event section. And as I tell you, ladies, every Real Talk for Real Life, thank you for being a part of this great movement. We get to highlight some amazing women, dynamic women like Shaniqua James. Keep doing what you're doing. We're so inspired by you, Shaniqua. And if it's God's will, you'll see me again next month on Real Talk for Real Life.